Hey, what's up there, YouTubers? It's me again, Brian, aka Gamer55551, and I am back with a My 2 Cent Nintendo/gaming video for this week, for the week of October 10th to the 16th. There's not going to be any video game review for this week. I am working on one right now, but a couple things have come up and I have to address those right away though. But anyway, we got 4 stories to cover, including basically some leaked information about the upcoming Western RPG from Obsidian, the same folks who did the Outer Worlds. I believe it's called Avowed, A-V-O-W-E-D. Apologize if I'm not saying the name correctly though. We also have a report from Nate the Haith, who shared some information about actually Nintendo might be doing a actual successor to the Switch, not a Switch Pro, but a Switch 2, although this should be taken with a grain of salt. We'll also be talking about a comment Jim Ryan made in regards of trying to reach out to people who want to play their games and all that stuff, but the comment may have rubbed some people, not everyone, but some people the wrong way. And we also have some situation regarding Metroid Dread, both good and somewhat controversial, ranging from it doing well in terms of sales-wise, but several controversies ranging from some that fall on Nintendo and one that doesn't though. If you're interested on where I got all this information though, I'll have the links in the description down below, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. But before we get started though, we'll do what is basically the quick My 2 Cents. Stories that kind of caught my attention to a certain degree, but I'm not going to go into a huge amount of details though. The first one is that apparently for Switch Online, for those that in Europe though, it seems as though the games for the Nintendo 64 will be playing at 60 Hertz, and there will also be a PAL option. So there were some people who were worried about it being lower than that though, but apparently according to Nintendo Europe, it sounds like that may not be the case though. We are also learned that Capcom has informed that the upcoming release of Monster Hunter Rise for the PC, unfortunately, it's unable to add cross-save or cross-play though. Is it possible they could add it down the road? I mean, that's a possibility though. But I will admit it is kind of somewhat ridiculous that they don't want to even offer like something like cross-save or cross-progression though. I mean, cross-play, I can somewhat understand due to basically the Switch running at 30 while PC obviously probably will run at 60 or something like that. But cross save or cross progression, I mean, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt for the Nintendo Switch had sort of a cross-save feature. I'm kind of surprised this isn't the case with Monster Hunter Rise or anything like that. We also learned that basically the popularity of Metroid Dread has apparently seen a spike in sales for other entries in the Metroid series, particularly for those who have a Nintendo 3DS or Wii U, that saw games like Fusion, Zero Mission, and even like the Metroid Prime games doing very well. And this is great. I'm glad that Metroid's getting the attention it deserves, but at the same time, I feel it was kind of a missed opportunity for Nintendo to bring some of those games like the Prime Trilogy or Fusion to the Nintendo Switch. I really think there is very much a missed opportunity on that part. We also learned about some footage from Ed Bond, who showed basically how the idea of scorpions, throwing his spear or something, and the famous "get over here" though. It's a really neat looking how they came up with these for these stuff. I like how I like these all behind the scenes of what thought process went through when they decided to make a lot of these games. So it's really neat though that Ed Bond is sharing some of this footage, especially for the early Mortal Kombat games though. We also learned that basically Alan Wake Remastered might not only there's been rumors about it possibly coming to the Nintendo Switch, and now we're learning that the ESRB and the PEG, the PEGI though, have it rated as well, which does seem to indicate the possibility that the Alan Wake Remaster will be coming to the Nintendo Switch. Now, we don't know if it will be digital or physical, or if it's going to be the cloud version, though, so we'll have to wait and see. I mean, after all, Remedy did release Control on the Nintendo Switch, but it was basically the cloud version. So we're going to have to wait and see about that one. We also learned that the Grand Theft Auto Remastered trilogy, in terms of the price point though, the reports seem to indicate as far as the Xbox Series S and X and PS5 go, PS5 versions go, it's been reported that it might be $70, although there's been no official confirmation at this time though. I think not everyone is sort of happy with the idea of some of these games costing like up to $70 and all that stuff. So right now it's a rumor, but we'll have to wait and see though. We also learned that Metroid, the same folks that did like the Toki remake though, is now going to be remaking the arcade classic Joe and Mac, or the Caveman Ninjas to be exact though. No platform has been released at this time, but my guess is that we'll probably see it on every platform, ranging from the PC to the Nintendo Switch. So I think odds are this one will probably appear on multiple platforms. Although Toki, I didn't see that, the remake of that one, I didn't see that go to other platforms, at least as far as I'm aware of. And well, 13, that remake never made its way to the Switch at this time, though that game had its own share of controversy to begin with. We also learned that Microsoft is considering allowing owners of their Xbox system to repair their own consoles, which would be really interesting if that truly goes through, because in the past though, most people, if their console is defected or damaged though, they have to ship it over and have like the repair center to fix and all that stuff. The idea of them allowing people to fix their own console though, it's going to be really interesting if this takes off, and it will also be interesting if this is going to add pressure to other companies like Sony, Nintendo, possibly like Apple. So I'm very curious to see how this goes and all. We also learned about Nintendo has revealed the online price for their expansion packs excuse me, pack for the Nintendo Switch Online, and according to what we are learning now, it seems to be set at the 12-month single user. It's going to be $49.99 US dollars. That basically is $50 though. And the 12-month family pass up to 8 users is $79.99 US dollars, which obviously rounds it up to $80. So $50 for the single person, $80 for the family plan though. Obviously, there's some mixed reactions to this. Some people are not exactly happy with this though. Others are okay about it, but I can understand some of the mixed reaction as not everyone is pleased about this and all. And we'll have to also see how Nintendo handles bringing over N64 and Sega Genesis game, because as much as I like the idea of them bringing these classic games to the Nintendo Switch, they've been slow in terms of rolling them out though. So I really am I can see why some people might be a bit iffy about the price point though. We also learned that Dragon Age 4, the new upcoming Dragon Age game developed by BioWare, will be heading to the PS5 and Xbox Series S and X, as there are no plans to bring it to the Xbox One or the PS4. While on some ways that will be, while in some degree that's great, given how hard it is to find a Xbox Series S and X and a PS5 at this time though, it is somewhat of a disappointment, but supposedly the game is still years away, so it is possible by then more homes will have a PS5 or Xbox Series S and X, so we'll have to wait and see about that one. We also learned that the GTA trilogy, the upcoming new GTA, the remaster of GTA 3, Vice City, and San Andreas, we have some information has come out in terms of new lighting and improving textures, and that the controls will be sort of in a GTA 5 style of controls. Now, some people like it, some people hate it though, but we still have to wait to see how the game runs and all that stuff. I'm very curious for myself how this game is going to run on something like, say, the Nintendo Switch, since we know it is coming to the Nintendo Switch, and also we'll have to wait and see though. We also learned that the first Dying Light game is still getting some updates, and will be getting a next generation patch though. Now, they haven't named any systems or anything like that. I'm very curious to see when this will be available, and will it be available on like something like the Xbox Series S, which I own, and will this open the door to possibly 60 frames per second on it, even if it means lowering the resolution or something like that. So we'll have to wait and see. In the meantime, we know that the first Dying Light is surprisingly coming to the Nintendo Switch, and that Dying Light 2 is also coming to the Nintendo Switch, but it is worth pointing out that is the cloud version, so keep that in mind. And last but not least, though, we've heard from Jason Reitman about future franchises and all with the this is a non-game one, Ghostbusters Afterlife, the upcoming movie coming out next month, though. I really would like to see this movie succeeded, though, because I think for a lot of us, especially long-time Ghostbusters fans, we've been waiting a long time for a third entry, though. And up to this point, though, the closest thing to a third entry we had was 2009's Ghostbusters, a video game, which was later re-released on Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, though. And I'm very curious to see how this one plays out, especially with the whole passing of the torch and all. So my fingers are crossed. I'm hoping it does well in the box office, though. We know as of right now, last time I checked, it was currently stated at 82% on Rotten Tomatoes, so we'll have to wait and see, though. Even if you liked Ghostbusters Answer the Call, and honestly, if you like the film, that's fine. If you don't like it, that's fine. That's anyone's opinion about it whatsoever. I think people need to put it to rest and take a chill pill and all that stuff. But regardless if you like that one or not, though, I am hoping this one does very well. And if this is the last time I'm going to see the surviving remaining cast of the original Ghostbuster movies and Ghostbusters 2, then so be it, to be exact. Okay, with the quick my 2 cent part out of the way, we'll get started with our first one, and this one has to do with Metroid Dread. Now, after 19 years, though, we finally got a new entry in, or a sequel to Metroid Fusion and all. I mean, for a lot of us, we've been waiting a long time, and to see that announcement of Metroid Dread at E3 this year was just great. I mean, that was really great, though. Now, I picked up the game and have played it so far. I'm switching between that and Tales of Ares, if I'm saying the name correctly, though, and I like what I'm seeing so far of it, though. Those who enjoy the way Mercury System handled Metroid 2 Samus Return on the Nintendo 3DS will probably like this one, to be exact, though. And seems as though the game seems to be off to a good start, at least in the UK. From what I've been hearing in Japan, though, it became #1 there on the Famitsu charts, beating out Far Cry 6, to be exact. But anyway, in a article posted on, let me get it out here, on Video Game Chronicles, though, it seems that the game is basically has a strong debut in the UK, with the latest box game sales starts have indicated, though. It reads that, quote, Dread has sold 3.5 times more copies at launch than the last 2D Metroid game, Metroid Samus Returns, which launched on the 3DS, it claims, in 2017. 2017 it claims. Metroid is a smaller franchise for Nintendo, Dring wrote. It's the 5th biggest Switch launch this year, behind Mario 3D World and Bowser Fury, Zelda Skyward Sword, Monster Hunter Rise, and new Pokemon Snap, though. Obviously, it did not basically overtake FIFA 2022 or Far Cry 6, considering that FIFA is like very popular in the UK, though. It certainly isn't surprising. But in either way, it's very nice to see this get some of the attention it deserves, though. I mean, for me, up to this point, Super Metroid and Metroid Prime Trilogy has been one of my favorite entries in the Metroid series, and I've always wanted to see this series find a success. And with the Switch doing very well and seeing IPs like Luigi's Mansion 3 and Fire Emblem 3 Houses finding success on the Nintendo Switch, I was hoping to see something like that with the Metroid series. And to see Metroid Dread do very well, at least in the UK and at least in Japan, does give me some hope for the franchise, though. Now, we still have to see what the MPT charts are going to be reading, and I think we'll hear something about it in like November and all, but it definitely seems like it's off to a very, very good start. I'm hoping it has legs, though. I hope it does very well. I think it is a good game so far based on my time with it, though. It is definitely one I think Metroid fans would be looking for. And while this is all great for the series and all, and for Metroid Dread, There has been a little bit of some controversies though. One that's, I think, beyond Nintendo's control, and the other one is sort of like falls on both Nintendo and, actually two of them, falling on both Nintendo and Mercury System. The first one has to do, it's basically with an article Kotaku put out. And recently it talked about Metroid Dread running on an emulator running good though. Now this caused some backlash and not everyone was very pleased about it, and it brought up the issue of piracy and emulators as a whole. There are some that think emulators okay because it helps preserves games and all that stuff, and others feel like that this is going to hamper the sales of Metroid Dread, although some people don't think it will have any kind of impact, so we'll have to wait and see. For me, I could see both sides of the argument on this though. Yes, I can understand how this can help preserve games, since a lot of these companies don't have a great history of preserving a lot of their old titles and all that stuff. But at the same time, I can see some argument against what is going on with the emulator. We're talking about a game that just recently came out and people wanted to succeed in also. Excuse me. I can see why some people are a bit upset about it. Now, is Nintendo going to do anything about it? Well, given their history of being extremely protected of their IPs and all, it wouldn't surprise me if they retaliated in some form. Like maybe they decide they're not going to send Kotaku a review copy of any of their titles though. Now, some might think that's a bit unfair, and I can agree to, I can understand that argument to a certain extent, but it is worth pointing out that it is Nintendo's IP. They don't have to send out a review code to anybody if they don't want to. They can set whatever terms that they want to put down. So Nintendo is in their right to do this though. I know that may sound like an unpopular opinion to some folks out there, but it is true that they are in their right to do it. So it wouldn't surprise me if they retaliated in a certain way though. Again, I'm not encouraging Nintendo to do this though, but it wouldn't surprise me if they do this though. And again, I can understand the argument for and against the whole issue with emulation and pirating and all. The other two controversies that Metroid Dread has sort of got themselves into is both of them kind of fall on both Nintendo and Mercury System. The first one has to do with basically has to do with a bug in the game that seems to have popped up though. According to what Nintendo is saying via Nintendo Life, it reads that, quote, "We are aware of an error in the Metroid Dread game that prevents the players from proceeding when the specific sequence below is followed near the end of the game. We are preparing a software update to prevent this error, which should be available in October 2021. Near the end of the game, if the player destroys a door while a map marker for that specific door is displayed on the map, the game will forcibly close and the following message will appear: the software was closed because of an error occur. We apologize for this inconvenience. If you're experiencing this error, please follow the steps below." And they ask in terms of what they do, and they say, 1, restart the game, and before playing through this sequence, remove the door icon map marked to prevent this error from occurring. 2, once the October 20 software update is available, update the game. Now, I think there is, some could argue that Nintendo should have paid attention to this, and I do kind of agree though. I mean, I think it's a little ridiculous that this sort of slipped in, especially if you're making all that progress through Metroid Dread, only to have it be all like possibly removed because of this bug or anything like that. But if there is a silver lining, obviously there's going to be an update that's coming out. Hopefully it will be soon though, and it does seem that there is sort of a way around it though. Let me check again. Yeah, I think there is sort of a way around it, though, so it's obviously you might want to be a little careful of using the map markers for those games, and also it does sound like there's a way around it, but it is a little annoying, the fact that it's there though, and the fact that that Nintendo obviously missed that one. They should have had sort of addressed this when the game originally came out though. I haven't ran into the problem yet, so I haven't experienced it though, but obviously some people may have experienced this situation, so a bit unfortunate that we have to wait for a update for it. The other one has to do with a bit of a controversy that has recently emerged, that some people are not credited for basically helping develop the game, Metroid Dread. Now, according to another article, from Nintendo Life, it reads about, basically it says this, quote, it said, a number of staff who worked at Metroid Dread Studio Mercury System during the game development but has since left the company have claimed that they aren't included in the game credit despite finding their work in the final product. As spotted by Vandal, a 3D artist raised the issue on LinkedIn, questioning the development studio's decision to leave them out. This is what this person said. Quote, I would like to sincerely congratulate the Metroid Dread team for putting out such an outstanding game. I'm not surprised at the quality of the game, though, since the amount of talent on the team went through the roof. I know it firsthand, despite not being included in the game credit. I was part of the team for 8 months. While playing the game, I recognized quite a few assets and environments I worked on, so my work is there. Then I would like to ask Mercury System, why do I not appear on the game's credit? Is this some kind of mistake? Another staffer who remained anonymous told a similar story, saying that the work on the game at Mercury System for 11 months, but hasn't been included in the credit. They call it a very ugly practice. The game industry has struggled with this problem for a long time, with no official guidance in place for how studios should go about crediting their staff. In most cases, the employees have the final say. The employer has the final say, something resulting in temporary team members or those who have moved on from the company just ahead of a game's launch to be removed entirely, though. A representative from Mercury System told the outlet, though, the policy of the studio requires that anyone must work on the project for at least 25% of the total development of the game to appear in the final credits, going on to say that sometimes expectations are made when making exceptional contribution. Metroid Dread was thought to be in development for years, which will explain why anyone who didn't work on the game for a full year might have been cut. Now, my position on this is that I personally believe everyone should be credited for making this game, though. Okay, it doesn't matter if you worked on it for quite some time, you should be credited, even if they say we would like to give thanks to the following people who contributed for even for a short while, though. I think everyone should be credited, though. The fact that they are not being credited, though, I think it's a bit ridiculous and very unfortunate, especially if it's a game we're talking about that basically sells well, gets high ratings and all that stuff. I think everybody should definitely be credited, though. So it's very, very unfortunate that Mercury System and even Nintendo to some degree are not crediting those who actually may have helped or contributed in some way. So my opinion on this one is basically that I think everyone should be credited, though. This is an ugly practice that I do think needs to stop and all. So overall, some good and bad news for Metroid Dread. Good news is that the game is off to a great start in the UK, though. The bad news is the Kotaku issue has raised some questions about pirating and emulations, though. The bug seems... There is certainly a bug in the game, though, even though there is a way to avoid it, though, but obviously a patch is happening. And the issue of basically crediting those who worked on the game but didn't spend a long time with it, though, I think those people should definitely be credited, though. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we'll get to part 2. And this one has to do with a comment Jim Ryan recently made about wanting to try to reach out to millions of players for the PlayStation brand, particularly with the PS5. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 2 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at a comment that the president of Sony, or at least the in charge of the PlayStation side of things, Jim Ryan made, though, that not everyone agrees with, though. Now, there's no doubt about it that the PS5 has been a success for Sony and all. It's been continuing to sell very well for them, even though, technically speaking, it's still hard to find a PS5 though. Some of it has to do with the chip shortage situations. Others has to do with the whole situation with bots and resellers who are selling it at outrageous prices, and then there's sort of the crisis at our ports and all that stuff. So a lot of things are thrown in though, but despite that though, it continues to do well for Sony, and they are looking at ways to try to reach out to as many people as possible. However, he said something that unfortunately not everybody took it the wrong way, or Jim Ryan said it the wrong way though. In an article, let me get it out, posted on PlayStation Lifestyle though, he was criticized for saying that people in the Middle East never played games before PlayStation though. Here's what the article had to say. Quote, speaking to game industry during an interview that was published last week, Ryan claims that people in the Middle East never played games before PlayStation. For content, here's the entire quote. And the quote says, quote, one of the things that I am proud about there is that we kind of pushed the envelope. We opened up the market that has never had any gaming culture ever, the Middle East. People have never played games before the PlayStation in the Middle East. Russia has a teeny gaming industry before PlayStation. Spain had a very small gaming industry before PlayStation, so we really pushed the envelope geography, though. Possibly not saying correctly, though. Ryan singled out Middle East as an area where there was no gaming culture ever in the past, and a place where people never played games before. This is a very specific statement, especially in context to what Ryan said about Spain and Russia, although the entire paragraph is wholly inaccurate. While Western media failed to pick up on this, we chalked up it to a lack of awareness about international markets and their history. Middle Eastern publications, as well as industry professionals like Rami ISMAIL, called out Ryan for making such sweeping statements, though. According to one person, they said, Middle East, people have never played games before PlayStation in the Middle East, mate. We have net cafes and arcades and NES ROM hacks same times as West did. We just brought cracked games and Polystation because you wouldn't sell to us. So others have chimed in saying, quote, wrong, Jim. We in the Middle East have been playing video games since the 80s. We have Atari, NES, Sega Genesis, and the rest of gaming consoles. Saying people in the Middle East have never played video games before PlayStation shows how out of touch these people are with reality, though. And obviously, it's also worth reading IGN's Middle East article covering the issue, as well as this Reset Era thread where gamers from the Middle East as well as Russian have chimed in. One Reset Era PSW60 wrote, Jim is totally wrong regarding Russia too. Gaming was big there long before the PlayStation. It's just Russians were mostly playing on home computers from C64, I believe Commodore 64, to PCs rather than consoles. And of course, piracy has always been prevalent. This idea that a gaming market can only be measured on the metrics of how many consoles has been sold there is misguided. On the basis, for example, the UK gaming market was almost non-existent in the 80s, when in reality it was huge. We were just playing on Commodore 64, ZX, Spectrum, Amiga, and all of them. Russia users have also pointed out that Dandy, Dendy, Wikipedia for those who aren't familiar, was extremely popular in the country. What Ryan said versus Ryan meant is a debate for another time. At SIE CEO, this is a serious misstep, and we hope that he issues a clarification. Now, do I think this is going to damage or hurt sales of PlayStation or PS5? I don't think so. I'm not really sure this is going to hurt. I don't think this is going to hurt the sales of the PlayStation brand or anything like that. Do I think it was a stupid comment, or for Jim Ryan to make, or he misspoke on this though? Yes, I think it was kind of a stupid comment to make though. I think when you look at it though, we've heard stories. Gaming has existed in a lot of places, though. Some got it later, some got it earlier, and all that stuff. I mean, recently, a Nintendo World Shop opened in Tel Aviv, Israel, though, and I do remember hearing about one of the biggest Nintendo collectors happens to be residing in the Middle East, though. So I do think it was a stupid comment, but I don't think it was based. I don't think this is going to hurt basically the PlayStation brand or anything like that. So overall, like I said, I doubt this is going to hurt the PlayStation brand, but I will admit this was sort of a stupid comment for Jim Ryan to make. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when we get back, we're going to get to part 3, and this one has to do with in regards of comments Nate.to recently made about the possibility of a Switch 4K or Switch 2, but not a Switch Pro, though. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with part 3 of our My 2 Cent video, and for this one, we're going to be taking a look at another rumor about the whole Switch 4K and all that stuff. Now, obviously, this rumor has been going around many and many times. We've heard this during when the Switch officially launched, and all that stuff, but the most recent one we've heard was from Bloomberg that put it out an article, which surprisingly, Nintendo quickly responded to this right away, though, which led to many believe that the article is inaccurate, to others believing it does exist, but Nintendo doesn't want to say anything, or they don't want it to hamper the upcoming release of the Switch OLED, though. So, and a lot of people believe this is the same dog and pony show going on and so forth, though. But recently, someone has popped up by the name of Nate Drake or Nate.to, who has a history of being a reliable Nintendo insider, though. Now, granted, it is worth pointing out this is a rumor, so anything like this should be taken with some grain of salt, though. That said, though, it is possible Nintendo might be considering releasing a successor to the Nintendo Switch, as we are getting closer to, the 6th year of the Nintendo Switch and so forth. But still, grain of salt should be taken on this, though. In an article from My Nintendo News, it reads that, quote, reliable Nintendo insider Nate Drake has appeared in a new video and spoken about what he heard from his sources, though. Basically, regarding a more powerful Nintendo Switch system, which he heard is planned for release in holiday 2022 and early 2023, though. Here are some of the details. Remember, it's worth pointing out this came from a Reset Era member named by Silver-X, and here are some of the cliff notes on it, though. Quote, no longer sounds like a Switch Pro, but a Switch 2 Switch 2 / Switch 4K based on what was learned in all, depending on how the market presents the product. 4K will be achieved through DLSS, that's the Deep Learning System Service, if I'm saying the name correctly. That's that new technology that NVIDIA has, though. Big publishers and developers got dev kits late 2020, with small ones getting them this year. As of right now, it is not native BC, backwards compatibility, with Switch 1 due to it being different hardware and lacking the TX1, Tegra X1, but there are ways around it depending on what Nintendo will do. Developers are working on exclusive, some PS and Xbox ports. Devs are targeting their games being done by late 2022, but games being done doesn't necessarily mean that when it's released for various reasons. Here, it will be released within holiday 2022, early 2023 period. With those 6 months, supply constraints makes it hard to know exactly when it's possible, meaning could miss holiday seasons. Now, some of this I could see happening, though. Like the DLSS, I mean, if another Switch is going to happen, excuse me, I do think Nintendo might be leaning more towards using NVIDIA's DLSS, though. After all, Nintendo and NVIDIA has a partnership that supposedly will last like around 2 decades, so I think Nintendo might be considering using that in a Switch 2 and all that stuff, though. Going towards a Switch 2, again, I could see that happening. I think it's way past the point of a Switch Pro. We're taking the approach like what we saw with the PS4 and the PS4 Pro, though. The backwards compatibility, again, assuming this is true, though, that kind of bothers me a little bit, though, because the Switch has been selling very well, and I think the last thing Nintendo want to do is alienate all those who bought all those Switch cartridges and so forth. So I do think, assuming this rumor is true, I am hoping that basically, if this, again, assuming this is true, I'm hoping they will address the backwards compatibility and let us be able to play our Switch games on this Switch.to. I mean, for those who may not be familiar, when the original Wii came out, you could play your GameCube games on the Wii, or if you had the Wii U, you could play Wii games on the Wii U. Same with when the original and the DS Lite came out, you could play Game Boy Advance games. 3DS allows you to play Nintendo DS games. So I'm hoping, with it, assuming this rumor is true, though, that there is some form of backwards compatibility that allows us to play our original Switch games on the Switch.to, even if we have the physical version, to be exact, though. So, to me, I would say, again, I still see it as a rumor and all that stuff, but it's plausible, though, at the very least. I mean, I get it. We've heard the Switch 4K rumors back and forth many times, though. I mean, I understand when the Switch officially came out, it was way too early to even be talking about Switch Pro or anything like that, or Switch 2. But given the success the Switch has had over the years and all that stuff, and given that we're close to its 6 years, it may be at a certain point when Nintendo needs to start looking at maybe a more powerful Switch, though. Do I expect it to be on the same level as, like, if a Switch 2 does happen, to be on the same level as a PS5 or an Xbox Series X or S, though? I seriously doubt that's the direction Nintendo is going to go. I think it will definitely be maybe on par with a PS4 or Xbox One, maybe somewhat more powerful, though, but I don't think it's going to be on the same level of a PS5 or an Xbox Series X and S. I mean, it's the same view I had when we went from the 3DS to the new 3DS. It certainly was more powerful than the old 3DS and did make some improvements, but it didn't push it to the level of it being as powerful as, like, what, a PS4 or anything like that. So we'll have to wait and see on this, and like anything, it is a rumor right now, so it should be taken with a grain of salt, and we'll have to wait until Nintendo officially makes a statement on this. So overall, I could see some of this happen, though, in terms of a Switch 2, but like anything, it is a rumor, and it should be taken with a grain of salt, and I can understand why some people might be like, this is the same dog and pony show we've seen before, and I can understand why some people might find this a bit annoying and all that stuff. But, and so like anything, take it with a grain of salt. It's a rumor and all. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When we get back, we'll get to part 4, and this one has to do with the upcoming Obsidian and Microsoft exclusive Avowed, or AVOWED, if I'm saying the name correctly, though, and some interesting information that has come out about that, especially including some more somewhat information about the Outer Worlds 2. So we'll take a quick break, and we will be right back. Okay, and we are back with our fourth and final part of our My True Cent video, and for this one, I want to be talking about one of Obsidian's and Microsoft's upcoming game, though, Evolve, or AVOWED. Again, apologize if I'm not saying the name correctly, though. When people think of the company Obsidian Entertainment, they think of mostly a lot of the Western RPGs they have done. Most might recognize them for the Pillars of Eternia series, though, but a lot of people have recognized them for what many view as one of the most favorite entries into the Fallout series, Fallout New Vegas, though. They also did 2019, and one of my personal favorite games, though, especially one that came to the Nintendo Switch, was the Outer Worlds, a game that came out at a time when, well, Fallout wasn't exactly in a great position, courtesy to what happened with Fallout 76, although supposedly that game is, what I've been hearing, is somewhat better now than it was during launch, but it came out at a very interesting time. So it was also kind of interesting to learn when Microsoft picked them up, though, and purchased them, along with Bethesda as well. So to hear the fact that they're working on a brand new RPG along with the Outer Worlds 2 is certainly very interesting indeed. We saw the trailer for the game during E3, but little to no information has come out about it until recently. Supposedly some leak information has come out as exactly what this game is about and how it sounds like it's going to be a take on Bethesda's own Skyrim series. Though in an article posted on, let me get it out, in an article posted on Video Game Chronicles, it reads that, quote, according to Windows Central, sources said to be familiar with the studio's plans, the first-person game, Evolve, if I'm saying the name correctly, will include multiple class playstyles and take inspiration from the Elder Scrolls Skyrim two-hand combat systems. Players will be able to wield two weapons simultaneously, a combination of weapons and magic, or unleash some of the game's strongest spells using two-handed magic, though. The site claims to have received documents showing the game in a pre-alpha state. Evolve is set to be deep in pre-production, with a working early version close to being completed, though. The game will reportedly include pillars of Eternia spells like Jolting Touch, Fireballs, and Fatigue, Fetid, Caress, various weapons enhancements, and possible pillar-style guns. Pillars creatures such as XAURIPS and Drakes will also appear. And this one also said, if the Outer Worlds was Obsidian's take on a Fallout-style game, Evolved is undoubtedly Obsidian's take on the Elder Scrolls, Windows Central writes. While there are clearly simulations between Obsidian's game and Bethesda's series, the report claims Evolve appears to be much more colorful and visually resemblant of the Outer Worlds, something not evident in the title's pre-rendered CGI reveal trailer. The game reportedly features swimming capability and may include some destructible environments too. Windows Central also claimed that Ninja Theory's Hellblade 2 is scheduled to be shown at the Game Awards in December, but suggests the event may come too soon for an Evolve reveal. Now, I'll be honest with you though, hearing that it's from the same folks that did the Outer Worlds, though, one of my favorite games to be exact, I would say this one, along with to some degrees Outer Worlds 2, is definitely a title I'm looking forward to, though. I'm more interested in this one than, say, and I know this is going to sound controversial, to Starfield. Now, I'm not suggesting Starfield is going to be bad or anything like that. We haven't seen any gameplay or anything like that at all, and it is possible the game could be good, though. And make no mistake, Bethesda has put out good games. The Dishonored series, Evil Within series, Prey, the Doom series, Wolfenstein series, so there's no doubt. I mean, I'm not denying the fact that Starfield could be a good game, but given Bethesda's history, though, and after how Fallout 76 was handled, I'm a little bit concerned about that one. Not so much about Evolve or anything like that. I mean, that one looks really, really interesting, and it's one of the titles I'm definitely looking forward to trying out when it's released on the Xbox Series X and S, and of course on Game Pass as well, though. So this is I definitely would like to see what their take on a Skyrim approach would definitely be. Speaking of the Outer Worlds 2, it appears to be, and I know this might be a little late, it turns out to be that the Outer Worlds 2 will be taking place, at least according if this is true, in an entirely different system, not the original system that the Outer Worlds is in. Supposedly, here's what's part of the article from Game Rant said, quote, Obsidian Entertainment announced the Outer Worlds 2 back in June at Xbox E3 Showcase. While the announcement was met with a lot of excitement, as the studio already has numerous confirmed projects in the work, Obsidian shared little information about what fans should expect from the sequel. The Outer Worlds 2 received a cheeky trailer, while afterwards, the developers revealed that the game will feature all-new squad members and a new solar system for players to explore and learn. The announcement of new worlds for players to explore is not all that surprising, as many RPG series give players new worlds with every entry to help keep things fresh. However, Halcyon, Halcyon, the solar system in the first The Outer Worlds was a very large part of what gave the game its character and helped made it feel so unique and charming. So the announcement of a new solar system did raise some concerns in the Outer World fans who fear that leaving Halcyon behind would be too bittersweet and it could leave the new solar system paling in comparison. So I can kind of see a little bit of why some people might be concerned, because I would have liked this, because the idea of having the Outer Worlds 2 take place in the same universe as the first Outer Worlds would have been kind of neat to see, depending on what ending you pick or what actions you did, could have an impact on the sequel, similar to what we've heard about with the Mass Effect though. But at the same time, maybe taking this new approach into a new star system may not be a bad thing at all. Maybe this time the worlds might be a bit larger, and there might be a different approach though. Maybe you do play as one of those members of those corporations, or maybe not. Maybe a marauder or something like that. So it's very interesting to see what kind of approach they will be taking with this sequel though. Obviously, it's probably going to be a while until we hear anything though, but I do hope to hear more about the Outer Worlds 2 soon though. Obviously there's nothing to show at this time though, but I'm hoping to hear more about it in terms of, along with Evolve as well, some gameplay footage of it and some more information about it. But overall, I would say both of these games that Obsidian Entertainment's working on is definitely on my radar though. I'm definitely looking forward to the Outer Worlds 2, and I'm definitely looking forward to Evolved, basically hearing that it's basically their take on Skyrim though. And being both these games will probably come day one on Game Pass, that is definitely a plus indeed though. So these are two big RPGs that I'm definitely looking forward to for my Xbox Series S. Okay, this concludes this My 2 Cent video for this week. And again, these are my opinions. What are yours? What are your thoughts about Metroid Dread and how well it's doing in the UK, though? Do you think this is a good start for Metroid Dread, though? Do you think this is a clear indication that Metroid Dread is going to do very well? And do you think this could lead to Nintendo maybe focusing more on the Metroid series going forward, though? Do you think Kotaku went way overboard with the whole emulation thing, or do you think the whole situation is taken well out of context, though? Are you concerned about this bug that is in the Metroid Dread game? And do you think that people that should still be credited, even if they worked at a short time on Metroid Dread, do you think they should still be credited for their contribute and work in the game, though? What are your thoughts about what Jim Ryan said in regards of reaching out to gamers in the Middle East, or his comments that he said? Do you think that he was tone deaf or out of touch when he made those comments, or do you think people are just blowing it way out of proportion, though? What are your thoughts about Nate the Hate's recent comments in regards of a Switch 4K? Do you think this is believable in any way? Do you think it's possible Nintendo could release a Switch 4K or a Switch 2 holiday 2022 to probably 2023? Or do you believe this is just another one of those Switch Pros rumors, another dog and pony show basically going on, though? And what are your thoughts about Obsidian's upcoming Evolved that they are working on, their take on Skyrim, though? Is this a game you are looking forward to playing when it comes out? Do you think what Ringtone Central wrote about it has made you excited for that game, though? Are you also excited for their upcoming game, The Outer Worlds 2? Did you enjoy the first Outer Worlds by any chance? Do you agree with what I said in this video? Do you disagree? Do you have a difference of opinion? As always, sound off in the comment section below. Let me know what you think. And if you do like this video, I hope you hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And I hope you do subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you do, make sure you hit the bell icon for notifications for any new videos I put up. Also, feel free to share this video if you want to, and feel free to donate to my channel if you like. You can do it through PayPal me or Patreon. Links will be in the description of this video, assuming you're watching this on YouTube. And I will see you again next time when I do another video. Hopefully that'll be soon. Until then, from Southern California, I wish you all a good day then. Bye!